Hi everyone, it's Bev DeBono, and I've got a really great page technique for us tonight. And it is a double triangle corner with a twist. Actually, it's not really a twist, it's like a cut and fold. So you're going to need two bases for this. You need your outside base and you're going to need an inner base. Usually something with a contrast. If you're not sure, it's always safe to go with a white on the inside, and that always will work for you. All right, so we're going to have an outside base, inside base, and then two rows of triangles. Okay, and this is just a cut and fold back, but we're going to go through this all together. Okay, so I'm going to recreate this page here. And all these papers that I'm using are from Grateful Harvest. And I just did a collection class on that recently. So um, I love the papers on there. They are such rich, rich papers. Okay, so I'm going to use a vase. And I'm actually going to take a tonal paper such as this. This is all the autumn. You've got autumn pumpkin spice coffees and leaves and berries, and I'm going to make that my base. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to um, layer. I want to come up with layers here of what my corners are going to look like. Okay, so I'm playing with these colors and I want something pretty dark as my first triangle and then something lighter for my second triangle in. Now the second triangle in, we're going to cut and fold back. So you need something that has a deep contrast. Okay, a deep contrast. Okay, so let's get started. If you're not sure, cut up a couple papers. There, we're dealing with 3 by 3 squares, so it's not a lot of paper. As you can see, I'm using scraps for my corners, and it usually will work, well that way. Okay, so two 3 by 3s for your outside triangles. And let's see if these are already cut. Nope, I need 3 by 3. Okay, and another 3 by 3. Okay, these are going to be our outside triangles, our first layer. All right, so we're going to start with squares, and then we place our square right on our trimmer. We're going to move it to the right, line our square up so that it becomes a diamond now, and then line it up on your 45-degree line on your trimmer, your 45-degree line, and then place it so that your top point and your bottom point are right on your cut lines and the 45-degree line. Okay, and I'm going to cut this into a triangle. Oops, I just moved it again. Okay, and with that trimmer, you see how precise those points are. Really, really nice, nice points. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. You put it at your top and your bottom points, and then on your 45-degree angle, and then cut your next one. Okay, these are going to go all the way on your outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and tape these down because sometimes it's easier to build when you are actually putting the pieces on as you go. And I'm going to use the repositionable tape for this and my silicone mat. And the reason I'm using repositionable tape is because I can get all the way to the back of these points, and it's going to give me a really secure, uh, I'm not going to have my points lifting up when I go to put my pages into my albums. Okay, and now we're going to place it at the corners, oh, about an eighth of an inch in from your side and your bottom. Okay, so just an eighth of an inch in. You want your paper to show through. Remember when we first started scrapbooking, a lot of us started with strips and triangles. Isn't this funny that this is we're at triangles again? Okay, there we go. This one might be a little bit bigger on one side. Let me move it. And that's the other thing with the repositionable. I can lift it up and replace it and put it down. It definitely becomes a little bit more permanent after a while. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I really want to place my next piece over it. And my next piece is going to be a 10 by 10 square. Okay, a 10 by 10 square is going to go on the top of this. All right, so I am just going to open my arm and measure this in a 10 by 10. And now this is going to go right in the middle of everything. Right in the middle of everything. And isn't that funny? It's like old looks new again, right? Now, when you're working with a 10 by 10 square, you have an inch in on both sides and an inch from your top and bottom. So if you are using your 13 by 13 mat, sometimes you can just take your ruler and go side to side at the 1 inch mark. And there is going to be a new ruler guide coming out that will go over the edges of your 13 by 13 mat. And it will slide up and down the sides. Okay, and then there we go. So that is how you get that nice and even. Okay, our next step is to get the paper that has the deep contrast. So this is the one that had the deep contrast. I had, there was a yellow plaid on one side and the other side is the dark brown. Okay, again, we're making two triangles exactly the same size. So two 3 by 3 squares we're going to start with. Oh, this was already a 3 by 3. There we go. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the other one. We're going to put our uh, start with a square. We're going to move it so that it's a diamond. Top of your diamond, bottom of your diamond, right on your cut line, and your 45-degree angle. And you're going to cut straight down. Okay, and you're going to do this again with your other piece. Start with a square, turn it to the side. You have a diamond, 45-degree angle, top of the cut line, bottom of the cut line, line it up. Okay, so now what we want to do though with this is I want to take these squares, these triangles, and I'm going to use it on my mat here. And I'm going to get my micro tip scissor. And the reason I'm using my mat is because I want to cut, and you want your big base on the bottom. Okay, is it easier if I do it on the blue maybe? Move that up. I want the bigger base on the bottom here. Okay, and I see that when I line it up with the bigger base on the bottom, it's about 4 inches. Okay, I'm going to move it over so that just a teens, so that the point is exactly in the middle on my line. So it's at the 2-inch line. All right. And I'm going to cut into it about 1 inch. Okay. And I can see right here on my mat where that 1-inch line is. Okay. You see where that 1-inch line is. It's right there. That 1-inch line is. Okay. And I'm just going to cut up. I'm going to cut up to about 1 inch. Okay. And then I'm just going to fold it back. So it's not open, it's not all the way up. I'm going to need to cut it just a little bit. It's not at the 1 inch exactly. I'm just going to cut in one more. Okay. And then I'm just going to fold it back one side and fold it back the other side. Okay, so that's what I did. All right, so I had my base of my triangle, the bigger base at the bottom. In the middle, I just cut up about 1 inch. And you see this one was not even in the middle. And then I just folded it back and folded it back and then pressed it down. All right, I'm going to do that again. I'm putting this on my mat. The base at the bottom, the big base at the bottom. I'm going to make sure the tip of my triangle is at the 2-inch mark. And then I'm just going to slide my scissors and I'm going to cut up to about 1 inch. Okay, and then fold it back. And fold it back. Okay, so it starts that way. You clip it up 1 inch and you want to fold it back. I'll do the next one. Big base on the bottom. Line the tip up to your 2-inch mark. Okay, so your tip is at the 2-inch, I'm sorry, 1.5 inch mark, or 2-inch, no, it's a 2-inch mark. The 2-inch mark. Okay, so your top tip is at the 2-inch mark at the top, your top line. And then with your scissor, just, hold it down and then just cut in 1 inch up. Again, it's just eyeballing. It doesn't have to be exactly an inch. It's fine. I know you all hate when I do that. It's like I'm just going to eyeball it. No, I want a measurement. Okay. These are kind of cute. All right, last one. Base on the bottom. Line the tip up with your 2-inch mark. Stick your scissor underneath and cut up about an inch. Okay, let's fold it back and fold it back. Okay, and how cute is that? But we're not done. We are going to add another little layer. Okay, and you can do this also with a pen if you don't want to cut a really uh thin strip. I cut an 1/8 inch strip and I put it under those corners so it just popped it. I used the brown on this one, and this one I used a green. It just popped it. And if you don't have paper that you want to cut up, you can do the same thing with your bold tip pen and a ruler. Okay, your bold tip pen and a ruler, and then to draw a line um, between each of these second layer of triangles. Okay, but I am going to take my strip here and I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do 4 of them. You really only need 2 because you could probably cut it in half, but just to be safe, I'm going to cut 4. All right, now the 1/8 of an inch, you have your cut line. The next line over is 1/8 of an inch. Okay, the next line over is 1/8 of an inch, and it's on the gray mat. Okay, and that's 1/8 of an inch, and that's all you need to put between your second layer of triangles. And just that little strip is going to make a big difference. And it's just going to pop it. Okay. Like I said, you probably only need 2 because you can cut these in half. We're only going to need about 6 inches of each of these. Okay, so I'm going to use again, my repositionable tape. And this is before I put these triangles down. And I'm gonna put them really close together so I can do both of these at the same time. Okay, so I'm putting them really close together so that I can do both of these at the same time. Now, if you have a silicone mat, it works really, really well. If you don't, you can use parchment paper, or I used to use a lot of times these wax paper strips that our stickers are on. When you use up all the stickers, peel off that back, and you have one side is very waxy, and you can certainly use that for uh, to take the place of the silicone mat. Of course, now I have tape all over it. Okay, I'm going to actually cut these at about the 6-inch mark. I use my mats all the time as my measuring tools. And they don't have to be even because you are going to be covering up some of it. Okay, and what I want to do now is I want to place these, and we're repeating the same measurement. We had 1/4 of an inch at the top here. I mean, 1/8 of an inch. We're going to do 1/8 of an inch in. Okay, so you see I'm not, I don't have to go all the way to the top and the bottom, and it's about an eighth of an inch in. Okay, I'm going to do that at all four, and it's going to be right in the middle there, right in the middle of my two, where my two triangles are going to go. And that little line just really sets it up. So sometimes these little strips that we save, you can use for things like this because they will add a layer of, um, just another layer of detail. Okay. So you see they're not going all the way around. I actually didn't need four. We just needed two. Okay, so they're little eighth of an inch little strips. Okay, but look at the detail that it added. And you'll really notice the detail once we put these triangles back on. And the double-sided triangle with the fold back is going to go right on your inside base, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to, if you want, and here's a whole nother thing that you can do, is if you want, you can put a little foam square under these little tabs to give it some dimension. It will pop it up a little bit. Be kind of cute, actually. And I'm going to tape these down, put them right in my corner. And I think I will pop these up on foam because and just one little foam square under your pieces. Okay, so I just put one little foam square under the back of my little pieces here. Here's your close-up of that. And then I'm going to fold it back. And it just gives it a cute little dimension. It pops it up a little bit more. Okay. Our third corner. So this double layer is awfully cute. And it really, I mean, you can see how it just pops. There we go, right to our corner of our inner base. Okay, and now I'm just going to add my foam squares on the back of my little pieces. Flip back with my foam. And it's really cute. Now these are great. These pages, I had fun with this because I had made it for my Grateful Harvest class. I had done 8 title mats, and these are the mats. And using the stickers and some of the die cuts that are in the pack, the die cut borders and stuff, a title for that you can use using the mats, and it becomes a title. So you can play around with these. I wouldn't put those two together, but I'm just saying that these could be, I do like this fall is here. And then what I would do is maybe put um, two other mats or my photos like all around. Let me get my photo pieces here. So you can do 4x4s, you can do 4x6s. These are the 4x4s. You could do more 4x4s, you could do 4x6s, you can stagger them. Okay, and this is the one with I did with the title mat up at the top. Okay, so I hope you like this technique. It is triangles, double triangles. It's with a cut and a fold back, and it's really a really fun look. And I hope you enjoy it. I'm Bev DeBono. My website's Bev DeBono Designs. I do have a lot of YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, Bev DeBono Designs. If you're not currently working with a Creative Memories advisor, I'd appreciate if you could order from my website. Information is in the comment section. And if you are looking to join a Creative Memories team, I also have a team of advisors, and I'd love to have you join our team. Okay, see you again soon. Bye bye.